morning. Happy Sunday from Laurel Park. Naomi Tucker alongside Callie Francois. We will be reviewing the stakes action from yesterday. Phenomenal day. Plenty of stories to go over. But we're here with an 8-race car today. We also have racing coming up tomorrow. President's Day, we will be running as well. And Callie, I might as well throw this to you because you're going to be here.
We're going to be, it's going to be Tim Tellick and I, Timmy T and I, tomorrow, Monday, for President's Day on the 21st. That's tomorrow, February 21st, 12:25, post time for that first race on the card. So we had a good crowd here, Naomi, yesterday.
I have
a feeling we'll have a great turnout. I have a feeling we're going to have a nice turnout today. But if you enjoyed yesterday, you're going to want to come back and enjoy a nice day of racing on Monday for President's Day.
Yeah, a lot of fun walking through the grandstand, seeing such a big crowd. And of course, there was the ice sculpting going on as well. I had a good look at that too.
Yes, it was good. It was
so
beautiful.
That was enjoyable. But we're also going to be looking ahead to the Preakness Stakes. Will be run on May the 21st. Tickets have gone on sale. Do go to Preakness.com to get your hands on a few to be part of Preakness 147. But back to today's card, we have a fast main track. Let's have a look at the current conditions. It's a bit more chilly than yesterday. It's 27 Fahrenheit, but look, the sun has come out. I'm expecting it to warm up a little bit, right?
It should warm up a little bit today. Not as windy as yesterday, as that was a windy day we had yesterday. But look, hey, the track looks absolutely beautiful, and I think it's going to fare out for a nice day of racing here this afternoon.
Yeah, and if you look at in terms of some of your buys, we didn't really have any. Keith already teed it up, saying it's been a very fair track. We saw that yesterday. Horses winning on the speed, horses coming from often. I remember Cordmaker and the General George being able to sit behind them and make that move at the top of the stretch. So always good to see that everyone gets a fair chance to race. So let's dive into these 8 races. First race on the card starts the early pick 5 as usual. And mile 116 a distance here. We got a maiden special weight for straight 3-year-olds. And Callie, you landed on the horse I used underneath, Napa Valley. We do know that Malcolm Franklin, of course, had a lovely win yesterday. Norman Cash, that was a big priced runner. I feel like you think we're going to see another big price there.
Norm Cash, whenever he's been shipping in here, he's been doing well. His horses have just been showing up, and I just think we're going to see another opener like that again today with Malcolm Franklin, a beautiful ride that we saw from him yesterday. I know he spent some of his apprenticeship here at Laurel Park, so it was lovely to see him back here on the track.
Yeah, Escape From won the first yesterday for the same connection, so you don't want to be sleeping on the number 7 Napa Valley. I landed on the number 4 Tizit Giant for trainer Michael Trombetta. First start over 6 furlongs, just outrun wide. Things weren't going his way. I think the added distance is going to set him up lovely, and I like the blinkers going on as well. And of course, Victor Carrasco has been riding high.
Riding high indeed. They had a win yesterday with Kiss the Girl. That I said that was my second race I enjoyed the most. But anyway, back to Tizit Giant. 11% Tiz now, second time start over, and 9% industry average over that distance. But those last couple of works, February 16th and February 9th, I think they were with the blinkers on. So that's a fair indication of what we're going to be seeing going around 2 turns for Tizit Giant.
Yeah, and you were mentioning Kiss the Girl, of course. Victor Carrasco and Trombetta teamed up for a win in the Nelly Moss, was named after the Preakness 1924 heroine. But in this race, we have a couple of similar horses. Both of us include Gary Capuano's runner on the rail, the number 1, Stacks of Silver. First time gelding, though, so make a note if it wasn't in your program already. Has been gelded after that debut run at Delaware. Also stretching out here. But look, I like the way he actually made up a bit of ground late.
Yeah, as of late, listen, he's Liam's map, so he's 18% second time with his second time starters and 16% with his first time routers. So you can't go against, Liam's map as his sire. And then Gary Capuano, he's 27% with his latest second time starters. I know he'd always turns up. His horses turn up with that second time out usually. They usually always need a race, if not 2, but they, always turning up. 17% first time route for Gary Capuano.
Yeah, I use the number 6 Highland Dream underneath as well, dropping back down from that Keeping the same level here, but I like Carlos Cedinho getting the ride. He's now older. He returns with the Lasix on. I think we're going to see forward moving momentum. And that was a tough race. I feel like 110 went on to be a pretty decent horse. So I believe Highland Dream can kind of turn the tables in here for Team Lawrence. Race number 2 starts the early pick for you. So we don't have Key. So I thought I'll try and step into his shoes and see if I can get an early pick for home. And this is how I play. I go 3 deep in here using the 1, the 5, and the 6 in race number 2. The 5, my top selection there. Mad Genius for Jerry Robb, who's going to try and take them coast to coast again here. Hasn't done anything wrong just yet, making his second start. I single in race number 3 on the number 6, Johnny Swish for trainer Jamie Ness. Blinkers go on. Was very, very fast last time out. Now goes, now tries again, and hopefully he holds on this time. But I think the blinkers are going to help him. Only lost out by a nose. I think today is going to be his day. So kind of my whole ticket hangs around him. Race 4, I spread 1, 8, 2, 5, and 7. Bit of a price pay on the number 7 Money Ride. I think he can get back to some of his better races for Claudio Gonzalez. And in the race number 5, the final leg, I go 3 deep there, and that optional claim of start allows with the 5, 6, and the 9. I think trust your instinct for Gary Contessa is going to sit a lovely trip there, second after the layoff as well. $18 flat ticket that commences here with this claiming 40 to 32,000 event, 5.5 furlongs in distance. We do a video spotlight on the 2 inside runners, Gallant Gold as well as All for Love. And what you can see here is that All for Love was right there on the pace from the get-go. Very comfortable going with them early over that 6 furlong distance. Gallant Gold looked like he wasn't really going to get involved at all.
Especially since he's off the screen at this moment.
Exactly, but visually very impressively.
Yes, I mean, you have a John Robb, Xavier Perez on the lead as per usual, but then Gallant Gold just gets wide open, takes a nice run at the end of it. It ran a little bit like Luna Bell yesterday. That was in a similar style as of that. And once, with a lot of these, that mud is coming back at them. It can be a little bit harsh. As soon as they get that clear air, they get, they don't get discouraged anymore and they start running. And that's exactly what we saw of Gallant Gold last time out.
Yeah, and you were mentioning Luna Bell in the wide country. Yes. She went right into the middle of the track, clean air, and they start rolling home late. I actually used the number 5 on top, and so did you. I think both of us think Mad Genius is going to take them coast to coast. I think it's very significant as well that remains at the 5.5 furlong distance, has that abundance of speed, hasn't lost against winners just yet.
Yes.
But if you look at what he's done in terms of, what he did on that first race, so professional. Of course, Jerry Robb, that's a stable that's just doing incredibly well at present.
Yeah, I mean they're on absolute fire. They have been on absolute fire ever since we got back here at Laurel Park. They've just been dominating here, and it's nice to see. It's no surprise that Xavier went in on All for Love, but it's nice to see Victor Carrasco, where I think he can get the job done for Mad Genius today.
I think so. So I didn't get to All for Love because looking at the pace figures, I think Mad Genius is going to be a touch faster early, but you use him in your exacta.
I do, because even if he was game enough that last time, and you see that this horse, he took a change of pace because he's been having a couple of races where he's been coming from off the pace. You can kind of place him anywhere. So he's kind of capable of kind of being put wherever he's most comfortable. So for me, having, being dogged all around that racetrack the last time out on the lead and being able, and just got shut out. If All for Love had a chance to see that horse coming, he might have pushed a bit further. But just with what he did last time out, I think we're going to see another performance today. And Xavier Perez back on surely kind of solidifies that for me.
Especially 2 back, I thought he was able to stick with solid fractions early without getting discouraged. So I have to agree with that. Good little race coming up there. Race number 3, 6 furlongs. The distance maiden claimers 16 to 12,500, trying to get that first ever win on board. We do have another video spotlight here on the number 6, Johnny Swish, but Because the Rainbow picked 6 because race number 3 kicks it off today.
And I kick it off with Johnny Swish, and I am the Cashman, who we will be seeing on the screen. In race number 4, I go, and just notice I don't have any singles for today later on in these later races. But race number 4, I go with the 1A, the 5, and the 7. And in race 6, in race 5, I go with the 5, the 6, and the 9, and that starter optional claiming with Peterson's Courage as my top selection. In race number 6, in that allowance optional claiming, going a straight mile, I go with the 1A, the 3, and the 7 Boss Logic, who we will be seeing in a replay later on this morning show. Race number 7, I doubled down. I could have singled, but I just wanted to back up in case, just on the off chance Princess Kokochin had some trouble or just had an off day. So you can absolutely single on race number 7. I wouldn't be afraid to do that as well. I just did it as a precautionary. In race number 8, I go 5, 6, 7 for our nightcap for a total ticket of $64.80.
I think one of my notes for race 7 was that most people are probably going to single
Yes.
Princess Kokochin. So if you want to be clever, and if anything happens, you might actually want to go against the grain like you did in that spot for sure. Now, race number 3, maiden 16 at 12,500, 6 furlongs of distance. We do have that video spotlight on the number 6, Johnny Swish. The number 1, I am the Cash Man. Now, Johnny Swish is the fastest early, but I'm the Cash Man trying to get to him here. Now, I'm all aboard with Johnny Swish in this spot because I think the blinkers are going to help him focus. But this was already a very, very professional game outing. He wanted to win that race.
He did. He was absolutely very game in that. I mean, I think, are the blinkers necessary? No, but do I think they will help a little bit just to sharpen him up just a touch? Absolutely. And so I think we're going to get to see another gun it for the lead with Johnny Swish next time out. It's not his strongest 16% with blinkers on, but again, I don't think the horse particularly needs it. I think he ran a winning type race. He just got nosed out last time.
I agree. I felt like it was so close. I'm not 100% sure he needs the blinkers, but perhaps Connections want to get that win on board and say, you know what, we're going to put the blinkers on. It's just going to give him that tiny bit of an edge that he needs. He's my single in the early pick 4. I use Mr. Mosley underneath because I feel like he's going to get that kind of stalking trip. And route to a sprint, Bob Classaris is pretty decent, about 22% as well as off a break. So there's just a couple of angles that make him intriguing in here.
Yeah, it's nice. He's put in some nice works coming back at Laurel, especially on January 3rd. That was a pretty solid 49 and flat with this winterized track. And with Forrest Boyce on top, she's riding at 50% whenever she swings a leg over for Bobby Classaris horses. So that
helps.
That helps big time. So small sampling, but again, 50% is 50%, especially on the dirt. So you can't go. I would not leave Mr. Mosley off at all.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping my single is going to come in, but I think he's very, very live in that spot. Race number 4, optional claim starter allowance in here. Malin 16, the distance. I have a little bit of a price play in here. I land on the number 7, Money Ride. I think he's going to return to that form that we saw 3 races back over that 1-turn mile. Now, he is going to have to do it around the 2 turns here, but I think he's got the right type of running style, the right type of speed. He stretches back out, went over the 6. I think he held his own behind Mojovation. But I believe that this distance is really what he likes.
It is what he likes. I mean, you go back to that 1-turn mile on the 20th of November, and that really just, if he runs anything like that, absolutely is, especially at 6-1 morning line. I don't know where that's going to end up once we get to race 4, but I have him underneath. Certainly a good price play for today for race number 4 in Money Ride.
I think he's live in here, but you landed on the number 1A, Irish Riviera for trainer Jamie Ness, of course, arriving in here on the back of quite a dominant win last time out at Parks. Has run once at Laurel before, hasn't been able to hit the board just yet, but I think he's going to be able to kind of tuck in behind them. I know it's a higher draw that he has. We don't normally particularly like that for the mile in 16, but when he's not a speed kind of runner, I think it can work out.
Honestly, it doesn't matter if you're not a speed horse and you have an outside post going going up that mile in 16, because you just let him break and then you tuck into the rail, you wait, and then I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of riders try the same tactic that we saw with Luna Bell, and especially with these come from behind horses. However, this is a type of horse where he has that grinding style of that come from behind. So Ruben will have to play it correctly, but regardless, the 1-turn, getting into that 1-turn doesn't really bother me that much.
And both of us also use Armando R underneath. I can include him. Look, big, as Keith likes to say, gaudy figure there.
Yeah.
83 buyer coming out of that first level allowance rate for Damon Delodovico. I'm hoping he's going to back that up. But if you look at some of his other performances, it's very possible he sits there with that sort of mid 70s number that could get the job done. Actually, looking at this race, I think this is wide open. This is the type of race that I would start spreading.
I was setting up my ticket a little bit earlier. Sometimes I like to set up my tickets a day or two in advance. And so at first glance, I put on as many horses as I can, and then I slim it down. And this one, I had nearly had all of them on my ticket. So this one, Armando R, the only thing, Damon Delodovico, he's 21%. Winning 2 in a row as of late, but with Armando R, he does have excuses for when he does put in clunkers, but I'm kind of seeing a little bit of a pattern of an every now and then. So, but either way, I do have that faith that he will run that race today, which is, clearly why I have him in my exacta.
Yeah, and Georgie Ruiz remains on board one on him last time. It feels like the Lodovico stables really started to have their horses hit on the day. They're doing very, very well throughout the meet so far. I've got them hitting at about 22% at present, which is very, very high. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with the latter section of the card. Welcome back to Laurel Park. We're on race number 5 of 8 carded for this lovely Sunday. Here, 6 furlongs of distance there. Optional claim a starter allowance. And look, I feel like the runner to beat in this spot is the one that you have on top in here, Peterson's Courage. I think she's going to take a fair bit of the money coming into this. Of course, Brittany Russell trains. Really showed us what she's capable of last time on that sloppy service. Only got beaten by a nose at the same level. Has been holding her own for a while, but it took her quite a bit to break her maiden. I remember following her. We were chasing her.
We were chasing her, but again, remember he's run into such bad luck running against some of the runners that he's been running against in those waiver maidens. So whether it was either bad luck or just against horses that went on to have some stellar enough, impressive enough career starts after that. Fair enough to try it at the starter allowance or at the allowance and coming back to this level. Again, a winning run, just missed out on it. I think we're going to get to see another performance out of Peterson's Courage. Yeah,
apologies. He is, of course, a gelding. I think he's helped by the fact that Grey Wing isn't in here because Peterson's Courage has good gate speed, but so does Dialing Dixie. But it saves at least that one horse away from you on the inside, right? As a jockey, when you're reading into these kind of races, would you think, okay, great, I can kind of stop making that move over?
Yes. So, depending... I'm just looking at some of the speed. If there's speed on the outside, you have kind of that, and if you break well, you have that control of what that outside speed does. If you can just kind of hold out for a little bit and then tip over when you need to. But the less speed on the inside, the better. I think there's absolutely a benefit from Grey Wing scratching out of that inside one post today for Peterson's Courage.
Yeah, I tried to get in with a bit more of a price. 9-2 morning line for Trust Your Instinct. Alex Crispin aboard for trainer Gary Contessa. Came back from a break after a couple of months away from the track. Had broken his maiden last time 2 starts ago at Delaware. Come back with a decent enough race. I thought he might have just needed one. That was also on a sloppy service. I think that he's doing his best running when it's just a bit more of a fast service. Done decent enough on the good service, but that was a sloppy track. I think he's going to get conditions that he likes here today, and I feel like fitness-wise, this is setting up better for him.
This is, and I feel like he is one of those horses that just needs that time. Although he did, from that March to September break, he did put in a nice performance at Delaware before, finally breaking his maiden. So there is a little bit to say for that. But I agree with you. I think the off going certainly did something for him that day that just wasn't in his benefit. And a couple of nice works, especially in February, leading into this race. I like this selection. I have this horse underneath, and if you want to, kind of go against the favorite, a possible, horse to beat, so to say, he would be a good land.
Yeah, I feel all eyes are going to be on Peterson's courage, but I wanted to try and get clever in
Yeah.
this spot. Both of us also used the number 9 Crown Count Christo. He ran a very decent second behind Sheriff Chip. Now, Chip came back to run second at starter level. Allowance 69 Bayer was a DQ, so ended up being declared a winner, but still very good sort of form, Frank, as well. Seems to be, an honest and at non-Minister 2 level, that claiming race actually came up pretty decent.
Yeah, it did. Within that, on top of that, we've got Dale Bennett, who is 40% as of late, first after the layoff. That's 8 wins out of 20 starts, 3 seconds and 1/3. This horse, especially after that performance, probably needed it after running so hard like that. Probably just needed a little bit of that time to recoup, so we didn't get any races that were bouncing out. And so for Dale to kind of put this horse up a spot after that performance, I think that's fair enough, and that's why I have him in my exacta.
Race number 6 is our feature race, optional claimer. 2 other than. Lovely field lined up in here. 1 turn, 1 mile, the distance, and both of us are going with what looks to be the speed of the speed. Let's look back at Boss Logic's last race, because he's joined here by Big Venezuela. But
Yes.
for the most part of that race, he was by himself up front. And I love that he's actually headed here, right?
Yes.
But he doesn't give up.
He isn't even headed. He was overtaken. So it had to get going. Yeah, you could see Rui just getting after this horse, and this horse is this kind of type that might need to be ridden the entire way around. A little bit of encouragement. He does get some benefit that Big Venezuela went so far wide. I think if Big Venezuela was on top of him the entire way around, might have been a different story. But as you can see, he still was. He had to put in so much effort and energy, but then it's really encouraging, especially about 5 strides back, just to see him kind of really, that's where he got his second win, was inside the 16th pole to the wire there.
Yeah, it looked like he was just going to pack it up, but
Yes.
really responded well to
Yes.
Ruiz's urging. So I like him to try and take them coast to coast here again. I was close, though, with putting Plot the Dots on top. Ended up using him as my exacta horse for trainer Michael Trombetta, now a 5-year-old. I remember him back end of 2020, beginning of 2021, just a hard-out campaigner at that 2 other than level. Tried his hand in stakes. I thought he held his own there, but now, of course, kind of looking to rebound again with hopefully a bit of an easier group, but he's finding some informed foes here.
Finding some informed foes, indeed, and overall, I just need to see, and again, coming back, his campaign at the end of 2021, those were a couple, I think they were just a couple of tough asks for just what his ability is. So I think he's just in the spot that he needs to be. And on top of that, I'm just looking at his style and the way it is. This horse kind of takes a while to get his engines going. I'm especially looking at that 51 and 4 work on Valentine's Day here at Laurel for a half a mile, and that just tells me that this horse needs the time to get a little bit of gears grinding. So I do like that 7 post, but then the blinkers on may change up the whole scenario entirely, and hopefully in a positive way.
Well, and Plot the Dots, he is kind of a big boy, so I actually like that second wire for him, giving Victor Carrasco enough time to keep him going, to click those gears into place, and to make sure that he goes through his paces and hopefully gets there in the nick of time. Both of us also use Davidic line in here, if I said that correctly. Jamie Ness trains a bit of a clunker last time out when he was 3 wide, was going to make a move into it, just came up short there. But before that, in quite terrific form. I guess he just kind of had to get used to this Laurel track, and had been plying his trade around the country. He's been running very decently at Churchill Downs as well.
Yes, especially, I'm just looking at, you got to go back to, back in June for that win, but still some solid performances, even if it's not, I'm giving a little bit of reprieve at that 6.5 and 7 in Kentucky at Ellis Park and Churchill Downs. But the main thing is that this horse is trying again at Laurel Park. And I think with some of these Jamie Ness runners running from parks, it didn't used to be quite this way, but they've been taking a couple of races to get acclimated here at Laurel. So that 114 work on the 12th, I do find that a little bit encouraging, absolutely.
And you use a closer look on the outside. Robbie Bales trains. Solid performance last time out against Treasure Trove. Of course, Treasure Trove ran yesterday. 5 deep, made a move perhaps a little bit too early because it was struggling to hold it on late.
Yeah, I think I made a typo when I sent that in because I was a bit interested in the 9 depository as well. But hey, let's make an argument for closer look. So yes,
I think he's interesting for underneath for sure.
So hey, let's make an argument for him. A nice enough work on the 15th just to show that the horse is in good form. But when in the sense where there was an early duel, he was kind of sitting off of it, made a nice run. And again, I agree with you. I think it was just a bit of an early move, Naomi. When you're going after a fast-ish pace. Again, I think it was just a plain and simple. I think it was an early move. We're cutting back in distance. I think he's well going to be appreciative of that.
Race number 7, 3 other than 6 furlongs, 67,200. The pot in there, and both of us landed on the number 3, Princess Kokochin. We were saying this most likely will be a single for plenty of people in the Rainbow Pick 6. And I picked a video that was a couple of starts ago. This was in the Politely Stakes, 26th of November. The reason I used this, that is Princess Kokochin. Multiple stakes winner, Marilyn Darling, Hello Beautiful on her inside. And these two were not holding back, and that was kind of a key moment in the race.
The race was over. This was a rider's race, and Xavier was aggressive out of the gate. He knew he needed to be aggressive out of the gate. He played it to absolute perfection, and I think it definitely, obviously it bumped this filly up, kind of backing off Hello Beautiful or from the early get-go. But this filly, I feel like she's just all in out guts no matter what. She's always been like that. She's kind of been second behind Street Loot as far as fillies in the Jerry Robb barn. But, she's proven her, especially in Politely and ever since then on, the Will on the Move and the What a Summer, she has still proven her mettle. And I think she just is glades ahead of the field today.
I just feel like she's developed so lovely and really responds well to that aggressive riding style that Xavier has, and that of course worked for a lot of the Jerry Robb runners.
Yes, and she is one of those types of filly, and I love these types of fillies, and I love riding them, but they will give you as much as you give them, and it's very apparent with how Xavier rides her very aggressively. It's a type where if you don't do much, she'll run, but she won't do much. But it's that much more exciting when you see a filly that runs with what you give her.
Exactly, and she was a strong second behind Kayla Soares in the Will on the Move 2 back. Now Kayla Soares came back in the Grade 3 Barbara Fritchie yesterday, ran a strong 4th, only beaten by a length and 3/4, but kind of course Glass Ceiling Jakarta, Feed the Spree for the Jerry Robb stable as well. So that was a strong race and really highlights how well Princess Kokochin has been doing and campaigned over the last couple of races. However, of course, still a couple of other horses underneath. If Princess Kokochin doesn't break and use that speed angle, that weapon that she has, you landed on Alta Velocita for trainer Andy Simoff. She won last time out right here at Laurel over 6.5 furlongs on the off-going. Clearly seems to be doing very, very well. I mean, she's won 4 of her last 5 races. Talking about consistency here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to go for any horse that's consistent in a field, and Alta Velocita is within no exception. Now, understandably, the last at Laurel in this last the optional claiming 35, it wasn't a crazy tough field, but again, she's just consistently showing up no matter what you put her through. I love the campaign that she had at Monmouth and Jersey earlier this year, especially in that stakes race, coming from way off of the pace and just nabbing them. I think, with Princess Kokochin, depending on if there's a track bias, if the speed's not going, she's certainly going to, with her style, she's certainly going to be picking up that piece today.
Yeah, I used Whiskey and Rye in second. I feel like she just had an off day there in the Water Summer. She dropped back and I guess just kind of threw out the toys from the pram there because she likes to be close enough to be running with horses, then make a move. I think she might have just got a slightly bit discouraged. We're going to come back again here now for trainer Hamilton Smith. Of course, we know Luna Bell did so well yesterday. I'm giving Whiskey and Rye another chance.
I absolutely would. Sometimes when, especially for fillies like her, she's one you can put a little bit anywhere, but overall, she likes to be within the thick of things. She likes to not be too far off of it. So when she does get far enough off of it, she is the type to throw in the towel and just kind of wrap it up. And I think that's, you alluded to that's exactly what happened last time out.
Yeah, and final race on the card is race number 8, Nickel Claimer, 7 furlongs the distance there. And we are in unison for our first 2 picks. We're both going with a bit more of a closing style runner in Cook Brothers for trainer Mary Saray Jr., Grant Whitaker. Got a bit of a break. Now, he's a 6-year-old, so I think that freshening up is really going to bring out the best in him.
Yes, I will always praise Mario Saray when he gives his horses a break. I know he likes to run them short within themselves, but when I see Mario give a horse, I have to reward it a little bit. I have to give some positive feelings to it. And hey, for the good reason for it, he's 28% first after a layoff as of his late going about that. So, again, one that's coming from off the pace. There's just enough of fun speed here that he can certainly target and I think will be able to nab.
Yeah, a couple of interesting horses in here because we also use the number 7 on the lamb on the outside. Mikey Girales, JD Acosta will be aggressive with him early, but he might have Big Hambone trying to have something to say about the pace as well.
Yes, I think, there are a couple of horses, but on the lamb, I think he has that advantage of that outside post. I think it's a very simple. JD knows this horse very well. JD can kind of also put this horse wherever he wants, but since he's on that outside post, why not make a gun for it? Why not go with it? Ran well enough like that last time out. I think I like the speed numbers 4 on the lamb on the outside post today.
Yeah, I feel like that is certainly most likely going to be his running style again here because he did it successfully in his last outing. Let's review some of these terrific efforts in the stakes company of yesterday. And of course, we are going to start with that during lightning round. Fan favorite Cord Maker was able to get that elusive first graded stakes win on board. The 7-year-old had been doing incredibly in his last couple of outings at home in the mornings, was looking for a 4th back-to-back win in stakes company, and we were worried about the distance, but Cord Maker said, no problem, here I am.
Yes, exactly. So no, there was plenty of speed. I was worried about him breaking, getting that position, and of course he didn't break on top. But luckily, he had a 45-1 shot right in front of him on the rail. That horse was gonna drift out on the rail. So gave Victor Carrasco the perfect opportunity to give us a very exciting General George, I thought, this year.
Yeah, and I just couldn't be more pleased with that result. I think everyone really enjoyed this horse being campaigned for such a long amount of time. Rodney Jenkins Trace, Victor Carrasco loves him. It's been on him for nearly his entire career. But you have to give credit to number 1 War Toxin, who you saw there, who set the pace. I think it was 45-1 for Arias St. Louis and kept on fighting. To move on to the other graded stakes event, well, this was quite the battle down the lane between Glass Ceiling. You see here there, the number 2, and on her inside, Jakarta. Jakarta had been setting the pace throughout.
Yeah, Jakarta just dug in there, and I thought it was about right here where I thought Jakarta was. I was like, hey, maybe Jakarta's going to get this in, and we're going to get to see two for Mikey Trombetta that day. But Glass Ceiling, she had a win prior at that distance, just at Aqueduct. Prior to that might have helped out, and just got the advantage of just kind of being outside and getting game as well.
Yeah, Charlton Baker, trainer and co-owner for Glass Ceiling, was telling me that he figured he really needed to have her fit coming into this graded stakes event here at Laurel, and she duly delivered, really getting down low to the wire. Terrific racing. Of course, I have to give credit to Feed the Spree as well for trainer Jerry Rupp, who really held her own in graded stakes company. And of course, we already talked about Luna Bell, but want to watch that stretch run again from her, because Luna Bell is the type of closer that you really kind of have to wait for it, but when she rolls, she comes home strongly.
You can just look at those little feet just flying. I love it. But no, I actually came outside and watched that race live, and she just, once she got clear, Dennis Rujo rode that race to perfection, just let everybody go. There was a lot for her to do, and it was a little bit hair-raising, when she was at the 3/8 and really just still behind the rest of the field. She ended ended up going 7-8 wide at what it looked like, and just kept a flourishing finish. It gave, and she finished in front by about 2.5 lengths, I believe. So just a wonderful filly that I'm so excited to see what she has to offer us for the rest of 2022.
Yeah, that was her third stakes win in a row. I did speak with Hamilton Smith afterwards, who also co-owns her together with Deborah Green, and it was kind of hinting at perhaps stretching her out. Maybe we'll start looking at the Black-Eyed Susan if everything goes well.
Right.
Would be amazing to see her back in there. Now, Locomotive also really took a step forward. That was in the Miracle Wood. JD Acosta was very, very aggressive with him from the outside. Plenty of speed on his inner, but Locomotive kept on fighting.
Locomotive kept on fighting. In fact, he was aggressive, but then JD was perfectly patient until he had to be, just about the 3/16, and then he started to ask Locomotive to start running. An interesting run behind with Majestic Frontier behind. There was a bit of a show there going on, but again, with Locomotive, really, really just was professional and I thought was even, you can be patient and be on the speed, and I thought that was as patient as you can get for a performance on the speed.
Yeah, this was Locomotive's first stakes win after having won the James F. Lewis last year. So really has started to show that talent as a 3-year-old now as well. But yes, Majestic Frontier for the Jerry Rawbarn. Again, a step up in class. Broke his maiden for the maiden 16. Won the optional claimer. Comes up here and runs second. Really seemed to be flourishing as well. So those were some of the highlights from yesterday. Barbara Fritchie as well as General George Day. Always a terrific day here at Laurel Park. So thank everyone who came out to join us and supported our product. We'll move on to our 8-race day card here today. Callie and I will be back shortly. We're going to throw it up to Dave Rotman next with scratches and changes.